It's been a while since we've done one of these, but it's time for another tutorial. Today we'll be talking about issues, branching, and PRs, part of the standard Git workflow. So I've got some repo here. It's literally just a base Vite status thing, and here we've got the code that's just started here. I literally have just one commit, and here's the actual project itself. So let's just say that I want to work on this project. The first step in doing something on this project would be to create an issue. So if we go back to the issues here, let's go ahead and create an issue. So what would be a good first issue here? Well, if we take a look at the actual project, we can see, oh, we have an increment by 1. If I hit it, it keeps incrementing. Well, I should probably do something about that so that way it decrements. So what I want to do here is I want to go ahead and come here to issues and then go to new issue. And here what I want to do is I want to detail what it is needs to be done. So I would say create button to decrement count by 1, and this is where things get interesting, because we have a couple of things that we need to do. Typically you'll add a background, which is some additional information if necessary to give some context. So here I'd probably just write something like an increment button already exists. Why not decrement too? We're going to do something called an AC next. AC is short for acceptance criteria, and essentially it's what is necessary to be done for this to be considered completed. So a button is added that successfully counts by 1 on click. And if there are any dev notes regarding the specifics of like where a problem is happening or something of the sort, or you want a starting point so that way somebody else can pick up a ticket and work with it, then this would be a very good place to do so. So let's take a look inside the code and see what's up. Here we've got our button placed inside of app.tsx. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to add a new line. And I'm going to say look in, or I should say add in app.tsx. Go ahead, take a look. Sure, looks fine. One of the things that we have to do here is we need to assign the necessary stuff, whether it be labels, projects, other stuff. So we're going to assign ourselves to this. We're going to add an enhancement because this is a new feature. And we're going to go ahead and submit the issue. So look at what's happened here. So we have create button to decrement counts, and we have the first issue here in our repo. And we can actually check that here by checking the issues that are available for us. So that's the first part of this done. The next part of this is the actual branching. So let's just say now we're inside of our code and we want to start working on this. And we have our project here, and we notice, oh hey, we've got this issue. So what do? The first thing that we do is we make sure that we pull. We want to make sure that if there's been any changes since the last time we've been working on it, we're up to date. So as we can see here, we're up to date, which is great. The next thing that we want to do is we want to branch off of this. So we want to go ahead and create a new branch, and we're going to do this in a very specific way. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply some syntax to this. So if we take a look here, we've got create button decrements by 1, and it's issue number 1. So what we can do is we can actually put this together. So we can do something like proj 1, and we want to do add decrement count button. So why proj? Well, because the name of the project is, well, some proj. So in this case we have like a short acronym, and then we have here, let's see if I can make this a little bit larger. We have here the issue number, so number 1, and then add decrement count button. And so after we've pulled, we want to make sure we create the new branch so that way we can actually work on stuff. So once you've done that, you've got your new branch, and so now you can go ahead and work on this because this is your working branch. So let's go ahead and actually add this. Thankfully, this is simple enough. We can go ahead and just copy this, bring this down, change this here, and change the operator to a minus. So now I can go ahead and save. I already have the project running in a different tab. And so if I bring this back here, I've got 2 buttons. So I've got increment, decrement. And so it looks like this is working and this issue is complete. So what do we do at this point? Well, we want to make sure that we go ahead and we commit our data properly. So how do we actually do that? The same status and same addition and same commits as before, but we're going to do something a little bit extra so that way it stands out and you'll notice the connections in place. So for us to see that, I'm going to go back to the issues view. So here's our issue. We've got the background, we've got the AC, we've just done that. We've done it to app TSX. And so what we're going to do next is the standard where we go ahead and we add the specifics. Sometimes you're touching multiple files, so you don't always want to do it. But yeah, you can go ahead and, in this case, since we only touch one file, it's okay to add everything. The dot representing the entire current file structure that you're in. And then we're going to do commit. And so this is a feature, and we're going to do this to app, because that's the scope. Add button to decrement count by 1 on click. You want to make sure that the headers, just like usual, are pretty short because you can add more messages. So every time you add a dash M or a hyphen M, you can go ahead and add another message. Considering that this commit is pretty straightforward, we're not going to add any more, and instead the final commit message here that we're adding on is going to be what's known as our trailer. And so what is our trailer going to be? Well, notice this number 1 here. If we add the number 1 here to this, what we can do is we can say closes number 1. And the way that this works is we can go ahead here and reference issues in commits. So auto-linked references and commits. So essentially the way that this works is you can go ahead and do this a couple of different ways. So GitHub is pretty good about picking up on the stuff directly within the actual issue and whatnot. So that's nice. Let me go to commit so that way we see what's going on. Nice. So you can link a pull request to an issue by using a supported keyword. So you can use any of these. So close, closes, fix, fixes, resolves, whatever the case is. So we can go ahead and say here as our final, we can say resolves number 1. So yeah, resolves number 1. So you can go ahead and do multiple. So you can do, you know, closes number 10, fixes, whatever the case is, or you can do resolves, 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 resolves. So now that we've got this, let's go ahead and commit. Now keep in mind here, we need to push to an upstream branch. So if we go ahead and do a git status, got a couple of things that we need to handle. And so now we can go ahead and push. So let's go ahead and push origin, and then this is going to be to proj1, and then tab complete, so that way that pops up, and send that along. And now this is the final part, the actual pull request. So the pull request is what allows us to actually merge in our work and review it. So if we click here, one thing we'll notice is that this popped up here. So we have a pull request where we're saying, hey, we have a bunch of changes on this project 1, add decrement by decrement count by 1 branch, and we want to add it to base. So let's go ahead and check this out. What we can do here is we can say, oh yeah, this resolves number 1 and whatnot, but we also need some reviewers. So here I'm going to pick myself, or I'm going to, you know, assign it to myself. Here this is an enhancement because that's exactly what it is here. And now, since we've got this, you can actually do one of two things. Let's just say that this is your first push, right? And you've committed a bunch of work and you're just pushing, but you're not done with the issue. You don't want to create a pull request because it's not done, but rather you're like still in the middle. Thankfully, here you have the option to go ahead and create a draft pull request. So you can go ahead and do that, which is great. But for the time being, we can go ahead and just create a regular pull request, and no harm will be done. So let's go ahead and create that pull request. So now, up top, we now have a PR. So we can add rules, protection rules and other stuff. It's kind of important to go ahead and do that. And another time we'll go ahead and check it. But at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to ask somebody to go ahead and review our work. So if we see here, we see our header message, feat app, add button to decrement count by 1 on click. Let me see if I can pull this up on a larger one. There we go. So we've got here where we've got the feat app, add button, decrement count by 1 and click. We have resolves number 1. So this commit closes issue number 1. So just because we use that special commit reference keyword, this will close number 1. So what we would do is we would ask somebody to review this. We'd go ahead to the commits and see the file changes and stuff of the sort. So we can come here, and this is the review changes room. So your reviewer would look at this, and as stuff is happening, they would check out to see, what the existing code is, to make sure that A, it seems sound, B, it's related to the actual what's it called, PR, and it actually does the work as necessary. And so once you're done, you'll notice that like in future PRs, there'll be multiple sections. If you want to know which one you've already seen and reviewed, you can just mark that as reviewed. And in this particular case, because we only edited one file, it only gave us one thing here. So we're done with this. So we can review the changes, and we can leave a comment, we can request changes, we can go ahead and approve. So in this particular case, I can go ahead and just leave a comment for myself, because unfortunately I can't request changes of myself or approve my own pull requests, which kind of sucks, but so be it. But then again, this is just an example. So nice work. And so now we've got a review here on the actual thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and handle the merge request. So we can go ahead and handle a merge commit, or we can do a squash and merge, where essentially what we do is we take all of the commits in this chain, in this case it's 1, but it could be multiple, and we combine them into a singular commit. And the way that we would be allowed to do that is we would be able to combine all of the messages and all of the different text that we sent as the commit messages into one thing. So for one, it's going to be pretty straightforward. So I can go ahead and create a squash commit, merge this, and see, okay, cool, so this is going to be the header. This is referring here to pull request, which is pull request number 2 by the looks of it. And then we have resolves issue number 1. So let's go ahead and squash and merge. And bam, we're great. Now we have this option here to revert. So let's just say we accidentally merged something in or squashed something in that broke everything. Well, we have that easy revert button, which is great. But now I can go to main, and I can see, that the latest thing here is related to this pull request that was just merged in. So this is merged, this pull request is now done, and this issue is now closed as well. So because we use the specific stuff to close this here, so we close this here, this is done, so this is closed and as completed in number 2. So yeah, it's doing great. Alright, so that is the overview of how things work. I hope that this is a decent explanation for you, and if you have any questions, please let me know.